So
No, 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 Keaton. No, 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 Nicholson, Burton, Batman.
well, you're right. That is a Tim Burton film.
Yep, one of his first big ones.
Wow, I can't believe they gave that guy Batman.
It is a little surprising. Like
Edward Scissorhands and all these trippy whatever ones. And then,
yeah. Everything about that was kind of surprising, though. You had Batman going to a director like Tim Burton, which was a little bit odd. I mean, it kind of made sense, but what you have to remember is that the whole idea of like Batman being this gothic character wasn't really established yet. Like we were coming out of the 80s,
yeah.
and Batman wasn't really this dark gothic character yet.
Huh.
Like you were getting the start of that with Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller graphic novel.
Yeah.
But that was like the first Batman story to be really dark like that. Before that, Batman was this detective who just happened to wear a bat suit, and the suit was like all blue and gray. It wasn't even black, you know. Like Tim Burton's Batman was like the first really, besides Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, it was the first like truly dark gothic interpretation of Batman. So it caught some people off guard, but then people also were really thrilled by it because that was kind of what a lot of those fans always wanted Batman to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're finally getting that. We're finally getting the Dark Knight, like truly the Dark Knight. Then you cast Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton was like known mostly for his comedic roles.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like tall, he wasn't particularly good looking. But then when he got on screen as Bruce Wayne, you just completely buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he made it work. Like he was the perfect sort of 1980s Bruce Wayne. He was like that. He was that guy. He made it work. He actually auditioned as the Joker because he was Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice was a very Joker-like character, so it made sense for him to audition as the Joker. But Tim Burton was like, no, man, you're kind of this like sort of weird-looking guy, and I'm gonna like Tim Burton had this. Did you ever hear about the Nicolas Cage Superman movie that Tim Burton wanted to make?
No, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. I mean, it makes perfect sense that Tim Burton would cast Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Yeah. Because
Tim Burton tended to like those sort of kind of nerdy, weird-looking guys, and put them in leading roles. Like Christopher Walken was another example of that. Christopher Walken was this kind of slightly creepy-looking guy who got a lot of lead roles, but mainly in sort of like horror movies and stuff like that. But yeah, and then of course the designs for the Batmobile came out, and we got the issue with the focusing again. And we got that working. I have one of these myself. Mine is a little different. The fins, you can tell these fins are plastic. Mine is like all metal. It's like all die-cast metal. This one's a little.
They're metal. Is that all metal?
That feels like plastic. We could get a magnet or something.
Yeah.
But it's definitely lighter than the one that I have. But it's still cool looking. I mean, it's still perfectly.
Oh, does it? What do you think? It seems like it's metal to me.
I think that the body is metal.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, for one thing, it's hollow. That's
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm done arguing about it. We'll just say it's mixed match.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's still cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but yeah, I mean, like, this was like the first really cool Batmobile to appear on screen. Very different from the 1960s Batman with the Lincoln Futura.
Yeah.
This was the first Batmobile that was not a regular car. Like every other Batmobile you ever saw, like the 1940s Batmobile was like a hot rod of some kind, like the original Batman Batmobile from the early days was kind of like a PT Cruiser.
Huh.
It was like this hot rod type car. It had like this bat symbol on the front, but like this kind, almost like this cow catcher shaped like a bat face, you know. But other than that, it was kind of just your typical car.
Oh.
This was the first Batmobile that was like at least on the screen, on the TV or movie screen, that was like a custom-made car that like you would expect a millionaire or a billionaire to drive, you know. Yeah. Which has always made it kind of awkward that like nobody figured out that you know, the rich guy, you know, that maybe the one guy in town who could afford all of these neat toys, that maybe he might be Batman, you know.
Yeah.
And he just happens to be the exact same height and weight and build and everything, you know.
And he has like this defense contracting division in his family's corporation that makes this type of weaponry and armor.
And he hates crime because something tragic happened to him, and you know.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Oh, it must be Harvey Dent. That's the guy.
Yeah.
Only a government bureaucrat lawyer would have those
yeah.
connections and resources.
Yeah, only like the pretty boy with everything to lose. Like he's got to be. He must be Batman.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said there. I never thought about it in that context. But yeah, it's like the guy is pretty much, he's flaming Batman. You know, it's like, well, what's this that you have, Bruce, in the basement here? Oh, it's my bat cave. Oh, are you Batman? No, I just keep bats down there. No, there's no reason for you to go down there.
Well, there's always a certain, yeah, like, oh yeah, your mansion just happens to be up on these rocks where there's like this extensive system of caves underneath, you know, where you could hide all of this like crazy stuff, you know. Yeah. But yeah, particularly in DC Comics, there's always this slight suspension of disbelief where it's like, okay, you have to believe that nobody who works at the Daily Planet took a look at Clark Kent and is like, you know, that guy's Superman, you know, like he's just because of a pair of glasses, you know.
Yeah.
I actually watched a few episodes of the original TV show, the original Superman show, and there are a couple of times where somebody actually says to Clark Kent, you know, I think you might be Superman. And Clark just kind of laughs it off. He's like, well, you know, you never know, you know. But so I actually kind of appreciated that because that's like a show from the 50s.
Yeah.
But even they were, you know, like they every once in a while a character kind of let on that they sort of knew, you know. Yeah. And I you know, that made it in a weird way actually more sophisticated than some of the later stuff, you know.
Well, maybe the stuff at Gotham, some of those guys know, but then nobody. What's in there? I mean, outside of the Joker and outside of what's it called? The bad guys. Who really gives a shit if Bruce Wayne is Batman? Nobody's gonna stop him because he's just this rich, famous guy. You know?
Yeah. Although, I guess that it's mostly to protect the people close to him. Like, secret identities are kind of about that, so that, like, nobody can just, like, kidnap Lois Lane and, you know, or kidnap Alfred and say, okay, you know, like, surrender yourself or they die, you know.
That was kind of what the Heath Ledger Joker did, though. He knew that Harvey Dent meant something to him, and how the hell would he know that hot woman meant something to him? I forgot her name.
That's the weird thing, is he didn't know that. That was purely by chance. Like, it was purely by chance that the Joker had no idea that Bruce Wayne had a connection to this woman. He only knew that Harvey Dent had a connection to her.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of weird. Like,
huh.
Joker had this thing where I think he told Batman at one point in the comics, he said, I don't care who you really are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He didn't want to kill him. He doesn't want to kill Batman because
he's too fun.
He wants to torture him. It's more fun to torture Batman than kill him, you know. It's like, you complete me.
I'm a dog chasing cars.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do once I got one.
Yeah.
But I also liked how he burned money, because he saw that life is a burning house.
Yep.
He's like, I'm only burning my half. And then all the thugs worked for him, because they know he was the most thug gangster mofo out there.
Yeah. Now, Tim Burton directed Batman and Batman Returns. So he kind of defined Batman for the late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And then the animated series came out, which was quite different. it was like instead of being gothic, it was more like a 1930s inspired Art Deco style, which I kind of prefer a little bit. I think that it fits Batman a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I also like the Tim Burton interpretation. Tim Burton did not turn down directing Batman Forever.
He did or he did not?
He turned it down.
Oh, okay.
And Michael Keaton turned down the role of Batman in that one.
Oh.
And what's his name? Oh shoot, what's his name? Damn it.
The Joker dude, or
no, the guy like who played Batman in Batman Forever. It was Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer.
Oh.
It was Val Kilmer, and which Val Kilmer is not doing very well health-wise right now. He had like esophageal cancer or something, but he survived it. But it's taken a lot out of him. But he was a big star in the '90s, and he was Batman in Batman Forever. And Batman Forever was the first Batman movie that was kind of not good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like Batman and Robin, but you could see things moving in that direction. And I would love to go to an alternative universe where Tim Burton didn't turn it down and see what Batman Forever might have looked like through the Tim Burton lens. People criticized Tim Burton's, even though they were good, a lot of hardcore comic book fans criticized the movies. One of them being Kevin Smith, who I'm not a big fan of.
Oh, Corpse Dude?
Yeah.
I liked his Dogma movie, but
yeah.
I don't really remember watching any of his other stuff. Weren't they all just stoned and kind of
Yeah, it's a lot of stoner humor, and he's become very mainstream now, and I'm just not a big fan of the guy. But the guy obviously thinks he's a lot cooler than he is. But he did a thing. He used to go to colleges and just do like a 2-hour talk, and he talked about how he enjoyed the Tim Burton Batman movies, but he said that Tim Burton was kind of like, he didn't want to be true to the comics. Like apparently Tim Burton refused to read a comic book.
Wow.
Like he didn't want to take any inspiration from the comic books at all. He just wanted to have his own interpretation. And Tim Burton said, well, anyone who knows me knows that I would never read a comic book. And Kevin Smith, well, that explains your fucking Batman movies then.
Oh!
But in a way, I think it's good. I think it's good that he did, because comic books weren't that great at the time, in my opinion. So I think that ignoring them, except for maybe, the graphic novels coming up, but just the week-to-week comics.
I liked Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. I think you even gave me a copy of that, which I appreciate.
Oh, did I?
I think you did.
Yeah, and I have a copy of it,
Yeah.
and that was Alan Moore, and that was his big Batman graphic novel, and that came out a couple of years after the Frank Miller book, the Dark Knight Returns. It came out a little bit after, and it was part of that same movement of like let's take this dark character, who actually was pretty dark, like when he first came out in the late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
He was actually a pretty dark character until Robin came along. Robin kind of ruined the concept of Batman, I have to say, like in some ways.
Like his gay little sidekick that prances around.
That's why I kind of liked, even though I didn't like Dark Knight Rises.
You didn't like that?
No, I feel like it felt kind of rushed.
Huh.
I feel like they should have taken another year or so to work on it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad, but it was kind of disappointing. It wasn't as good as the first two. But that's...
Oh, yeah, that was the final one. Because I liked... It was something, and then it was Dark Knight. I really liked Dark Knight where Heath Ledger overdosed. Like, that was like the peak of Batman. And also the best Joker. Like, all these guys have tried to do the Joker. Like, the Joker movie was okay. Ray, or whatever that other dude who had the screwed up teeth, his wasn't that good. I didn't watch it much. And then Heath Ledger, though, he could do a crazy dude for a Joker.
Yeah.
He was just like, that was Academy Award winning, even though it did kill him.
Yeah. So when Dark Knight Rises came out, and like I said, I feel like they should have spent another year or so working on it. It had the makings of a good movie, but it just had this rushed feeling. But when it came out, There's the geez, what was I going to say about it?
Sorry, I didn't cut you.
Well, I've completely lost my train of thought. It was something that happens in The Dark Knight Rises that goes along with what we were saying. The how they handled Robin.
Yeah.
That young cop, Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
Yeah.
as that young cop, and how he was sort of the substitute for Robin.
Okay.
He never actually became Robin in the movie, but there's the implication that he takes over for Batman.
Yeah.
And he becomes Robin. And they hint at it when the guy says, when he says like that he tells that story about how he flew in like a Robin.
Yeah.
That was a good way to handle the whole Robin thing.
Huh.
It was a good way to include Robin without actually, including Robin. Sort of a way to acknowledge the existence of Robin without having this dynamic duo in two dudes in tights, uniforms,
Yes.
So it was a good way of handling that, and that was one thing I liked about it. I just think the movie could have been done better. I think that if they had spent just another year or so, because I think the first one came out in like 2005, and then the second one came out in 2008, and then the third one came out in like
10.
Yeah, so they could have spent another year or so working on it. But I think that Christopher Nolan felt kind of rushed.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. But yeah, so Batmobile.
Well, we're just talking about the cultural and historic significance of Batman, the media, the man, the myth, the legend, all that.
This was made by ERTLI. You can see
Toys.
ERTLI, and it's DC Comics 1989. So it's period.
Yep, I got Dyers. They're out of Dyersville. They're actually owned by a Japanese company now, but at one point they were made in America. I really like the cars and vehicles made by those guys. So,
I'll have to find you mine at some point.
yeah, we could do a little short one, or you could shoot one on your channel.
It's heavier. It's heavier than this one, but it's not as new looking.
Okay. We good, dude?
I think so.
Sounds good. Like, subscribe, and share. Have a great day.
Oh, who's your favorite superhero?
Pause the video. No, I don't know. I like Batman kind of, but there's other dudes that I would like. I mean, I like Batman in the realm that he can show the magic that a rich guy can throw money at stuff and make his dreams come true and do stuff without getting all because I think it's more realistic that there's some rich guy that can play superhero than somebody shooting spider webs out of their arm or whatever, or getting kryptonite and all that stuff. I'm trying to. There's a lot of different superhero ones that I would watch, but I'm kind of tainted by them because I feel like there's too much superhero worship within the culture.
I agree with that.
So
For me, it's always been Batman.
Yeah.
And what I like how Batman is he's kind of the halfway point between the pulp heroes and superheroes.
Yeah. He
came out in 1939. He was one of the first superheroes. Superman came out like a year or two before that. Yeah. But he's there's more to him than the pulp heroes. Like, he's more than just a Dick Tracy, but he's still not like a Thor or an Iron, he's kind of like Iron Man, but he's not like a Superman or a Spider-Man or a Green Lantern. He's more realistic than them, but he's also a little bit more than just like a Dick Tracy, or a Zorro. He's more extreme than that, but not as extreme as like the way out there superheroes. I like how everybody talks about the money issue. Like, there's even a joke in the Justice League where they say, "What's your super power?" And he says, "I'm rich." And I actually didn't like that joke because, to me, Batman could be a working class character and still be interesting.
Yeah.
He could be just some working class guy who just happens to be a mechanical genius and builds all of this stuff in his garage or in his basement or something. Like, to me, it's not about the money. It's about a guy pushing himself to the limit. Like, it's about a guy, using his brains and his skills and his anger and his rage to you know, and a guy who's not necessarily like morally virtuous.
Yeah.
Like there's a famous line in one of the comics where he says, you know, Clark could squish me like a bug anytime he wants, but he's not going to, because deep down he's a good person and deep down I'm not.
Oh, wow.
And he's not. I mean, Batman is this guy, something bad happened to him and he never got over it. Yeah. He basically threw like a 30-year tantrum.
Wow.
You know, I mean, like, you know, it's not about like wanting to help people. It's about being obsessed with righting this wrong.
Yeah. He's a vigilante.
Yeah.
He's just this pissed off rich guy vigilante.
Yeah, it's about just being so pissed off and so obsessive that you have to fix the universe. Like you want to fix the universe, not to help people, but just to satisfy yourself.
So that ties into two different superheroes. One of them, I'm going to keep it pretty short. I don't know if you remember Ass Man, but that was Howard Stern's alter ego superhero.
Yeah.
Really trashy, low-class one. But that's what I was thinking when you're talking about it doesn't have to be a rich guy. And then the other one I was thinking of, I don't know if there's a Rat Man,
yeah,
like R-A-T, but they're like, it's a Rat Man.
Well, in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there was a Bug Man, a guy with anger management issues. He was kind of like the Hulk. Like he would get mad and they would give him his powers or something, and then the Turtles had to help him overcome his anger or something. But he's like, I am Bug Man.
So he's just this delusionally angry man.
I'd love to see that episode again because I remember that guy being really funny.
Huh.
Like he joins like a Buddhist monastery to deal with his anger, and the Turtles need his help, so they need to make him mad.
Oh wow!
But no, another thing I like about Batman is his mortality makes him more compelling.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that made the Frank Miller Batman compelling was the fact that not only is he mortal and he could die, he's also old now. So he's having to do all of the things that he used to do, but being like 20 years older. Huh. And I made that, I thought, you know, even when he's fighting Superman, and here he's like this 60-year-old guy fighting Superman who hasn't aged at all. Yeah. But he had to block out the sun so that Superman was weakened enough, and then he had to build this new robotic, like hydraulic suit.
Wow.
He had to do all of these things to just to give himself a chance to beat Superman.
Wow.
And that scene where he's fighting Superman in the comic, and then they made an animated adaptation of it, is really compelling because Superman is still beating his ass. Yeah. He punches Batman, and he said, "Bruce, I just broke 3 of your ribs."
Wow.
You know, like it's so just that
he's beating up on an old man.
Yeah, yeah. And he wants Bruce to stop, but Bruce is not going to stop. And he finally does beat Superman. Spoiler alert! By spraying some kryptonite in his face or something like that.
So you block out the sun. You build this fancy fucking robot like
that's
Iron
loaded.
Man
That's
suit.
Loaded with kryptonite gas, like gasified kryptonite. You know.
And then you spray some in his face.
Yeah, when you're finally starting to lose the fight, then that's like your ace up the hole is gasified kryptonite. But yeah. Anyway, whenever you have Superman fighting Batman always has to win because that's what makes it interesting. Huh. You know, like if Superman won, that's not interesting. That's just what you would expect to happen.
Some superhuman guy beat the shit out of a human. Well, that's pretty impressive.
And people always root for Batman because he's the underdog, and that's kind of what makes him. And when he's in the Justice League, it's always kind of weird because they have to find a way to make Batman seem useful, because you're dealing with like the Justice League where everyone else has these incredible powers.
Yeah.
And Batman is just this guy with a lot of toys and he's a genius and he's
good financier. He's like, I just bankrolled the Justice League.
Yeah, he's like the world's greatest detective and probably one of the greatest, martial arts masters and everything. But at the end of the day, he's just a man. Yeah. So when you're writing a Justice League story, you have to really be careful about not making Batman look like he's just standing still. I mean, usually it's his intellect that's kind of that they use like in the story, like Batman's intellect and his obsessiveness and his all of it, that's what kind of makes him useful in the story, not so much his ability to beat somebody up or fly somebody out of danger.
Wait, what did Batman do? Well, he managed to rob a bank in a strategic way and launder the money efficiently so that the Justice League was able to have enough cash flow for the next 15 years.
Well, there is that story where Batman has a database where he's figured out a way to defeat any of the other League members if they go rogue, like if they get drunk on their own power, and the other members of the League find out that he has this secret like plan to defeat any of them, including himself.
Yeah. So
that's his superpower, is that he's the mastermind of the group. He doesn't have the strength, the physical strength. He doesn't have the ability to fly, but he has he's the mastermind. What I like, I didn't like the new Justice League movie, but one thing I did like about it was how they kind of, in a way, they kind of made Alfred part of the group too, because he was the one on the radio, kind of telling them all, he was like the dispatcher.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. Alfred's taken a more active role in a lot of the new Batman stuff, and I really like that.
Wow.
Like in the movie, in the show Gotham, it's basically implied that, well, it's actually shown that Alfred was this like badass, like military British guy, and he kind of taught Bruce how to fight. So I have a theory. I don't think this has ever been confirmed in the show, but in Gotham, I think that they actually imply that maybe Alfred might be Bruce Wayne's real father.
Wow.
Yeah. So they never come out and say it, but there are kind of implications that I kind of picked up on.
Wow.
Anyway, I think that pretty much covers what I have to say about Batman. I like the Elseworlds versions of Batman, like alternative versions. Like there's a cool graphic novel called Gotham by Gaslight. Don't watch the animated movie. It's not good. Just read the original graphic novel. But it's like a Victorian version of Batman.
Like steampunk or what?
Yeah, like steampunk.
Okay.
It's like a steampunk version of Batman.
Is that any good?
It's good.
Huh.
Yeah, like I said, don't watch the animated adaptation because they change the story and it's kind of woke. I don't like it.
Yeah, okay.
Just about everything that they make now is woke. Like all of the new, they change up the original stories.
Well, Batman's going to transition to Batwoman.
Yeah. The Long Halloween is good. That's another one I would recommend. Nightfall, the entire run of Nightfall is cool. That was in the early 90s, and that was when they really once and for all made Batman like this dark character. That was the story where Bane breaks his back.
Oh wow.
The cover where like Bane is like actually breaking him over his knee.
Mm.
Have you ever seen that image? That it's disturbing. I mean, I remember the first time I saw that, it just sent a chill down my spine.
Wow. So it's like, then does Batman become a paraplegic?
He gets healed somehow.
Huh.
But while he's recovering, this other guy takes over, this guy named Azrael, and he becomes kind of like an evil Batman. But and Robin has to take care of him. But anyway, geez, we're closing in on, we're at 29 minutes and 9 seconds. So this is going to be like a 30-minute video. Dude.
Yeah, this is like a record for me for a car review.
It's almost like a mini doc.
Something.
This is like your first mini doc.
Yeah, when I usually go with like 1-minute videos, and we got 30 minutes. I'll put it as a special.
Yeah, this is like
special.
This is your first mini doc special.
Yeah, well, I'm sure our next car will be special long one too, with a lot said.
Okay, well,
I dig this though. We could keep going until we hit the 30-minute mark.
Okay.
Well, there we go. Just highlight the car. I want to get some better lighting.
It's Tokyo drifting all over the place.
Well, and we got a big jet engine over there.
Yep.
I really like the one at Dark Knight a lot better. This one's like okay.
You like the Dark Knight one better than this one?
Yeah, it's more utilitarian. You can go like.
But it doesn't have the fins, man.
Well, this has a cool aesthetic to it. I will say that. But I think the
mean,
utilitarian one, their one's better.
Like the one in the Nolan movies is basically just a tank. It's like a tank that's been painted black. They even say that, like, does it come in black? You know, it's like literally a tank that they just painted black.
Okay, yeah, we have 30.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying
I just thought it was more utilitarian because you take the car out and you go like, he was able to salvage that. You fuck that thing up, you're out. It's over.
Yeah.
The thing gets stuck. It's like an old. It looks like to me an old luxury car, like from the 50s, more so than a like tank badass vehicle. So.
Okay.
Like, subscribe, enjoy.